Yo, people, welcome back to another episode, another week. Hope you man doing all right. 8th of March, open up the schools. Hopefully everything's gonna be all right soon. But you know what to do: like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with your friends. Innit? Come on, man, gotta let the channel grow. But let's start with the first game, the biggest game. Well, one of the biggest games actually. Let me correct myself. But United versus
The
City.
biggest game.
Relax.
The
But
biggest game.
United versus City, and we gotta give some of our props to Oli, man. Every time he faces Pep, especially at the Etihad, he does his thing, innit? I see my United correspondent there. He's shaking, he's rubbing his hands. Yeah,
Come
Denzel,
on.
tell me what was your thoughts
Come
on
on.
the game? That's nasty.
Beautiful performance. We have to give Oli his props. Tactical masterclass. He always seems to have a number on Pep when it comes to playing at the empty head. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to set up against Pep Guardiola's teams. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it seems whenever we go to City, we know how to do the job. Obviously, City we knew would have the lion's share of possession, which they did have, but we play counter-attacking football against City, and once again it worked. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Obviously, in the first 3 minutes, we get that penalty. Jesus, very silly tackle. He didn't need to make that tackle. Maybe it was just adrenaline, and he made a silly decision, made a tackle. We got the penalty. Top 6 Bruno agenda, mudded in the dust, gone. I don't want to hear it. I don't care if it's a penalty. I don't care if it's a tapping. I don't care what he does. It's done. It's dusted. No one can say that anymore. Beautiful penalty from Bruno. The ears over the head for the haters. All of that. Okay, so I'm going to highlight a couple key players. Firstly, you have to highlight Luke Shaw. Had a big challenge defensively going up against Riyad Mahrez and Cancelo. Apart from the time where Mahrez dropped him, he had a pretty solid game defensively. And then obviously going forward, you know about Luke Shaw. We know the form that he's been in. He does his thing. Henderson makes the throw, a pass to Rashford, pass back to Shaw, bottom right-hand corner, the finish from Shaw, lovely. He doesn't score goals too much, but it was a good thing to see. Like, a lot of people have been critiquing him throughout his United career, and it's a good thing to see him finally getting the props he deserves. I'm going to say it right now. Best left-back in the league. I don't care. He is the best left-back in the league at the moment. Another great performance from that I'm going to pick out is from Anthony Martial. His hold-up play was brilliant. He dropped in deep a lot in the game to help the midfield out. Had an opportunity where he should have scored, but that's one thing that he needs to work on, his finishing. It's not been too good this season. But I have to give props to Tony Martial. And yeah, it's just a tactical masterclass by Ole. Obviously, it doesn't really change the complexion of the title race. We know that City are going to win the league. But it's nice to see us getting a good result, even when we didn't expect to get that result. So yeah, good performance overall.
You know, one thing I want to mention here is that your midfield is actually quite poor, like in terms of performance
Yeah,
wise.
Fred was, yeah.
And
Fred
that's
was quite poor.
surprising that you go away to City and your midfield isn't on point and you still manage to win. I mean, your defense did their thing. Maguire and Lindelof were solid.
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka defensively was good. Offensively, he was here and there because he gave the ball away quite a couple times. In all honesty, Shaw and Martial were your 2 best players. In all honesty, I don't think you can really argue that. But yeah, Dan, what was your thoughts on the game?
I think that people need to give Oli his props, man, because Oli knows what he's doing when he comes up against Pep Guardiola or Man City, especially at the Etihad. I think he's won 3 times already at the Etihad, which is a very, very good record. Like when Oli's played Pep, I think Oli's won 4 out of the 8 times they played, which, I mean, against Pep Guardiola, that's a very good record. So I think Oli just knows what he's doing when he comes up against Man City. I think he doesn't feel pressured to want the ball all the time or need the ball. I think the counter-attacking option, as seen from even Wolves last year when Wolves beat Man City, that's the most effective way to beat and play against Man City. Like, every team we've seen that have beat Man City have played that way. Like, even if you go back to the FA Cup semi-final where Arsenal played that way. So Oli, I think he deserves a lot of credit for that performance. Obviously, there was a lot of criticism for United's performance against the top 6, and a lot of it, rightfully so, being aimed at Oli. So I think he needs to get his flowers for this. There was a couple good performers, very good performers from Man United, and a couple poor performers. I think the whole midfield was pretty poor. I think they definitely disrupted Man City, which was all they were needed to do. But on the ball, They were very sloppy, especially Fred. Fred was poor. I think Luke Shaw was very good. I was impressed with Luke Shaw, especially going forward. I think especially with the goal. I think he's been good. Best left back in the league shouts are a bit premature considering this season is really the only season he's kicked on so far. And I mean, the thing about Luke Shaw is like this is the level he should be at. Like he's been at United 7 years, and he's one of the highest paid left backs in the world. Like this is the bare minimum that he should be doing. But to see him doing it is good for United anyway. Bruno, obviously, he scored his penalty, but apart from that, he had little to no impact on the game. But I mean, it's Bruno, so against a top six, I didn't really expect any different. Martial had a very good game. I think his link-up play was good. He drove quite well with the ball, but that finish at the end is the only thing that let him down, and that's the thing ultimately that people are going to look on and say that's not good enough because he could have sealed the game, and on another day that could have been the thing that really come back to bite them. But overall, I think he was good. Even Dan James, I thought Dan James was quite good as well when he was called into action. So I would say United, this is a very, very good result for United because obviously you always want to beat your rival. It's always a good thing to beat your rival, especially when they're at their best. Obviously, it doesn't change the title picture. Everyone knows City's going to win. But it's 3 points for United. It's a win against a local rival and something to build on.
Sarah, what about you?
There's probably not much to add. I mean, it's a very important point that you guys raised about the midfield not doing too much. I actually think they did enough to disrupt Gundogan and De Bruyne from actually playing with the ball, to be honest. I think that was probably the main reason that, that was their job, even Bruno's job, like to just get back, stop those eights from flooding into that second line before Maguire and Lindelof. And what was really key as well was Martial just helped to relieve so much pressure. Held the ball up brilliantly. And yeah, I think it wasn't a scintillating performance, but I feel like any team that goes up against City, it's not about being technical. It's not about being smart. It's about getting the basics right, as seen by Wolves, as seen by United. Obviously, that front three is devastating in terms of pace. As you said, James, he had his moments, and a couple on another day, he might have, got in a bit more. Luke Shaw as well. I think I'm giving Luke Shaw his credit because I think defensively he's improved. Like you could talk about the attacking and everything, but the way I look at it is as a fullback, he is doing his job. He is covering for Maguire when needed, and he's providing a lot of assistance down that side. What was also very key was this result means that United aren't potentially being dragged into a top 4 race as opposed to a top 2 race. So it sort of solidifies those rumours or thoughts that they might be slipping a little bit. I think United were probably the better side. You can say that City had all these shots, but to be honest, I mean, it wasn't scintillating stuff. Props to United.
The funny thing is, people are saying it's a tactical masterclass and stuff. This performance ain't too different to the other games in the top 6. The only difference was that he won. That's why I said before, it's the fine margins between winning and losing or drawing. I mean, if he won all these games...
I think it was different. Like, even the way they were pressing. They were pressing a lot higher.
I don't think it was that different.
In the first half, there was a lot more pressing.
Yeah, and the shape was a lot better as well. I could see there was more discipline in the shape.
I saw them press against Liverpool. Yeah, I saw them press against Chelsea. It's just that they didn't win. Sometimes it's just like that. If you don't win,
it wasn't a brilliant game. It wasn't a great game, but United did what they needed to do.
But the difference is, Ollie's done this before against Man City. And
they've
won.
He knows what he has to do.
I mean, definitely. I think it is definitely like the fact that he can do it against Man City. He's beaten them a couple times doing the exact same
3
thing.
times.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's really luck or
I'm not saying it's luck. I'm saying the performance and the level of performance that they showed today isn't any different to the other games that they showed in the Big 6. It's just the difference was that they won, and that's why he got a lot of flack in the other ones because he didn't win. If he had won those other games, he would have been called a tactical masterclass or anything. It's just the fine margins of football. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just the fine margins of football. If you win, you're a tactical master. If you don't, you're not. But going on to the Luke Shaw shout saying he's the best left back in the league, On form right now, there's definitely an argument to say he's been up there. Yeah, you
I
can't
have a quick
really.
question.
Yeah.
Quick one. When I say that I'm basing it on this season, because obviously we know that Robertson is the actual best left back in the league. But when we're looking at team of the season at the end of the season, when we do that, I think most people are gonna have Luke Shaw in their team of the season, and I think rightfully so. Like this season, he's been the best left back in the league, so that's where I'm coming from.
I mean,
with that shot.
probably based on form, but I think like it's with Luke Shaw, it's just about consistency, really.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But his level of performance has been very impressive in terms of, obviously he's very good on the ball. He does drive forward with the ball and off. He does offer a lot to United, especially offensively, and you see that. And you got to give him his flowers. He's doing well, but as Dan said, consistency is the key thing. But what? So you all agree that he's right now been the best left back in the league?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This season,
Yeah.
probably.
He's quite complete, I think.
I mean, I think it's difficult because there's people have been good, but like for example,
There's
I think
been some left back
Tierney's been
performances.
very good, but the team has stunk.
Exactly, and
So
I don't think you can
difficult.
put Tierney in that team of the season over Shaw. I don't think you can do that, personally.
I mean, I think based on team performance, it's probably going to be Shaw. But I think if Tierney was playing in a team like, I don't know, any team that was half decent, I think people would be giving him his flowers a lot more.
Or maybe he stands out more in that team because of the team isn't doing as well. Because if
it's harder to do well in a trash team though.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm still taking Shaw all day, every day.
I think that's fair to say. Any final thoughts? I want to see what your thoughts on this is. Dan was saying it yesterday. Do you see he play better without a striker?
Yes, 100%.
100%. Yes.
I thought that was a given.
Jesus was stinking up the place, man. I can't lie.
Jesus is just crap. Jesus is very similar to Morpay. Like his positioning is very good, but his finishing is horrific. No, I'm not even trying to insult him. It's true. Like his finishing is very, very poor.
And like is a good
he's
player.
He is a good. I feel like, but he's not like a
player.
traditional striker.
He's just.
He makes City worse. He makes City worse.
Exactly. And how can you not eat in that Man City side as a striker? How can you not? Like, we need to look at Gabriel.
If you put Patrick Bamford, in that City side, he does a lot better than Jesus. A lot better. And Patrick Bamford was considered not good enough for the Premier League.
I think Jesus is a good player. I do agree his finishing is very questionable.
Is he a good striker? Is he a good striker though?
He hasn't played at striker his whole City career, has he? He's played wing quite a lot as well. And they all interchange. None of them play. We have
to put this into context. He was meant to be the heir to Aguero, and look at him.
But his Premier League record is actually surprisingly good. It isn't that bad.
Because he's coming on when they're winning 3 games, when they're winning 3-0 and scoring the 4th.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of players do that anyway.
So putting this question more forward, do we think that Haaland would solve these issues?
It would be much better than Jesus.
Because is he going to? I think he might not contribute enough.
I feel like City suit the false 9 more. I don't feel like the striker. Yeah. I feel like if they sign Messi, it's very, very.
If they don't sign Messi, how about Lautaro Martinez?
That would be another.
Because he's more involved in link-up play, and that's probably the number 1 priority for Pep.
But hey, Lautaro Martinez feeds off a big man though. He has never really.
He had the link-up play with Lukaku. Yeah. I don't think City have a Lukaku type player in their squad. As far as I'm concerned.
Like people were calling, why didn't Aguero come on yesterday and stuff like that?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Fair shout that is. And also, is De Bruyne slowing down the play?
Yes.
I think Bernardo Silva probably should have started.
Yeah. I was waiting for them to bring on Silva. I don't know why they didn't do that. That confused me.
I want to speak about Sterling though. He's 22 games against United and not a single goal. And the miss that he done yesterday was shocking.
That was abysmal. His finishing is very suspect at times. He improved it, but
against United, he's awful.
He just disappears.
He's United does his kryptonite.
Yeah, he's the
Wan-Bissaka
support us. Maybe he's
always
too
played.
scared to score.
Wan-Bissaka
I
knows what
mean,
to do
none of that
against them.
matters because he's still won 2 Premier League titles and he's on his third, so none of that means shit. You know them
But,
ones.
but you can't get a goal against United in 20. How many games? That's.
I mean, when was the last time you man won a title? Man saying about, you know, them
But if
ones
we're
there.
talking, if we're
There's
talking about, if we're
levels.
talking about the big games though, Sterling's also missing chances. Like against Lyon, he missed a chance that probably could have taken them through in the Champions League last year.
Yeah, he misses a lot of big chances in clutch moments.
Same
It's
way
Sterling
you
clutch.
say he came clutch for Man City against Spurs, but you know the ones. I remember he scored 2 goals and then he got the offside one.
With
So
the VAR, yeah.
Lorente.
moving on from them, man. Let's go to Liverpool. 6. Hey.
6 goals in a row.
Hey,
Landfield.
That's relegation form, man.
That's lovely.
It's relegation form. I don't know, man. I feel sorry for them, man.
I don't. I do not.
I feel sorry for them, man.
Best Premier League team of all time. That's what they were saying.
Exactly.
I don't feel sorry for them at all.
They're too loud to feel sorry for them.
Where do they go from here? Like, it's hard to. Like, where did they go? Sarah, tell me, where did they go from here?
I mean, the thing is, he made 7 changes in that game. I've never seen Klopp make 7 changes ever. And it just shows, doesn't it? I mean, we're seeing players come in who have barely featured all season and they're expected to put on an A-star performance. And I thought he showed a bit of disrespect for them, to be honest. Like playing Nico Williams and all these other players who barely play. But it shows when these players aren't playing, they're not match fit. And when you're not rotating, no one can come in to fill in their boots. That's why he brings on Trent. Giving Trent the captaincy as well when he comes on. The disrespect to it. Okay, props to Fulham. Fulham played extremely well. I thought they played very well. You know, when Parker can alternate between that 4-4-2 and the 5-4-1 mid-game when necessary, when Liverpool on the ascendancy, that's that Scott's done his homework and he knows exactly how to counteract the fast build-up. With regards to Klopp as well, I think he's obviously got this Champions League tie coming and he's thinking, okay, we need to rest players for Leipzig. But I think he's probably thinking, maybe we need to go all out for the Champions League to try and secure our place for next year. Because at the moment, he's in 8th place. He's behind West Ham. Everton, Chelsea and West Ham play today because we're filming this before those games have taken place. And you can just, it looks like some of the players have actually given up slightly as well. They don't have any creativity ideas. They're not defending with any sort of intent. Either they're pushing up too far or not dropping off enough. They had another centre-back partnership yesterday with a kid who's played in North Conference League last year. And Nat Phillips, who is 23 years old. And I do not know how you can be that slow as a 23-year-old. It is shameful. Robertson is the only player I feel sorry for. The boy is trying every game. He's never getting a rest. And he's going to get to the age of 29 and have a serious injury. They need to seriously look at their squad and probably reassess where they go in terms of their future goals, because obviously we can praise them all they want. They played tremendously well last season and they set new records for the amount of goals. Not even that, but the goals they conceded was extremely low. But at the moment, we're seeing nothing like that. There's no authority in the team. There's no passion in the team. Even Salah and Mane, they're not. Mane as well. His output needs to improve. It's on Salah's feet too much. And we can say Mane is a brilliant winger, but Mane is expected to score goals in that team. If Firmino's not doing it, it's Mane and Salah.
When I'm looking at Liverpool, yeah, I'm starting to really deep the effects of not having Van Dijk and Gomez in that back line, because I saw them doing the high press thing, innit, like they always do, and they don't have the pace. They do not have the pace, and you saw how often, and people forget, when the pressing thing, the high press is offensive and defensive, like it encompasses everything. So you're seeing that now that they have Fabinho, Henderson in midfield, 3 workman horse that really, like, when they're pressing, they press hard. You get what I'm saying? Obviously, they're already falling off. Let's not pretend, this is some major surprise. When they won the league, even when they won the league, they weren't really as good as they were in previous seasons.
The previous year, I thought they were better.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
last year.
Even at the start of the season, they lost 7-2. So we could see the levels were decreasing in it. But you would have thought that 7-2 would have been a wake-up call. And it was looking like it was, and because they were going on a run and people saying, they're going to win the league. But you're seeing without Van Dijk and Gomez, two of the fastest centre-backs in the league, you see when teams play those balls over the top with Van Dijk and Gomez, they get it straight away. No chance. And if it does happen, because Van Dijk and Gomez are so fast, they can usually shepherd the attacker. Alisson comes up, sweeps it. You're seeing that Alisson's having to do a madness. And, Alisson isn't getting it right all the time. He's sometimes miskicking it. Sometimes he does get it right, but you're seeing not having those two at the back, the pace that they offer is really affecting them. So he's still trying to push up high, and they're just getting exploited.
They shouldn't be doing that, though.
Exactly.
They should be dropping off more.
But he's being stubborn anyway. And you're seeing in midfield, you got who's in midfield sometimes?
Wijnaldum's playing at 8, or he's playing at 6 or 4.
And Thiago. Obviously, Thiago's played at a high-pressing team at Bayern Munich, but obviously we know there's always nuances with every team in terms of how they press. And you see in the midfield, they're not pressing as effectively. They're not pressing effectively as a unit. So they're not getting those turnovers as much as before, innit? Liverpool, it's just like structurally, they're shambles right now. And obviously, I think motivation is probably a big part in that. Obviously, personnel is another big factor, but the motivation, I don't think is the same because they have won everything, if we're being honest. The Champions League and the Premier League. Those are two biggest competitions, but it's a shambles, man. Because even that, you can't be coming 8th, man. That's abysmal. That's abysmal.
But they should be striving for long-term success. They shouldn't just think, 2 years of success, that's it. They didn't go for any of the cup titles
for any
of the last 3 years.
But yeah, Denzel,
exactly. I was going to say that, in fact, sorry, finish what you were going to say.
No, I'm finished.
Okay. I was going to say the style of football that they play is just not sustainable. For 2 years, they were playing heavy metal football, high-pressing football, the Gergen press, whatever you want to call it. All that stuff is dead now. It's dead. You can't do that for 2 years, have no injuries, and expect that to be sustainable. Now they're feeling the after effects of having 2 seasons where you're playing heavy metal football, not heavy metal football to the extent of which when Klopp first started, but they're high-pressing football. It's just not sustainable because if now you have players getting injured, the system doesn't work anymore. People have figured that out. He needs to find a different system. I know this might be a bit premature to say, but it looks like they have to blow the whole thing up and try something different because we've seen that if anything goes wrong in that Klopp system, the whole thing falls apart. Like everything needs to be perfect in order for that system to work. And now that everything's not perfect, now you have the injuries in the defense and you have injuries in the midfield. Everything's just completely collapsed. Most teams, when they have, I know it's a crazy amount of injuries that they've had, but most teams, when they have a certain amount of injuries, the whole system doesn't completely collapse. They rely on certain individuals to play a certain way. And with the pressure that's been put on them for the past 2 years, the way they've been playing the past 2 years, it just wasn't sustainable. And now we're seeing the after effects of the type of football that they were playing. And I feel like Klopp needs to adapt to what's going on now and find a new system because of the system that they're playing right now. It's not working. Like 6 L's in Anfield, consecutive L's. That's bad. They're supposed to be saying that Anfield's a fortress, and now look at them. I don't feel sorry for them one bit because I could see it coming. After quarantine, I remember saying that Liverpool don't really frighten me anymore. They're not the same Liverpool from 2 years ago or the same Liverpool even before quarantine. I feel like since quarantine, they haven't been a really good side. I think even with Van Dijk in the side, they wouldn't be challenging for the title. That's just me personally anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, Dan?
I actually agree with Denzel. I think that they need to really reassess this because and with Jurgen Klopp, he's never really shown that he can rebuild a team, like he can adapt a team. Like with his Dortmund team, he had them fighting relegation. That is really, really worrying. And with Liverpool this season, they've been very poor, very, very poor. Like the team that he put out, obviously against Fulham, was a weakened team. But some of them players are. Nico Williams he's crap. He is crap. Nat Phillips, he's pretty poor, and Reece Williams is also crap. And so I sympathise with him in that sense because them three are abysmal. And I don't. Lookman is someone who is very tricky. Like he's got a lot of skills. He's good on the ball, but he was tearing Williams inside out. He was doing whatever he wanted consistently. And Liverpool, I don't think they really had more than one or two big chances against Fulham. And obviously, Fulham have improved in recent weeks and they've gone on a really good run, which I think we probably will get onto later. But you should be creating more than that if you're the champions, really, especially at Anfield. Anfield was meant to be this fortress, this place that you go there, and if you come away with a draw, you're like, yeah, that's a good result. People are going there. If they're coming away with a draw now, they're thinking, do you know what? We should have done better. Like Liverpool, I think injuries is something that is definitely a factor and it's definitely not helped them. But there's other clubs that have sustained a lot of injuries that are doing better. Leicester's a good example. Leicester's had a lot of injuries, and admittedly their fan base is not as big, so you wouldn't hear complaints. But you've not really heard them complain about injuries as much, and you've not really seen them underperform as much as Liverpool have. And this is very, very worrying for Liverpool fans. Very worrying because a lot of their squad is aging. Like I think a lot of their squad is 29, 30. So I don't know where they get this impression that they're going to sign Mbappe from because
Exactly.
me personally, I don't think that is ever going to happen. Like I'm just being honest because Liverpool have always been a club that needs to sell to buy. Liverpool have never been a club that can compete financially with Man City, Man United, Chelsea, even the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, even the likes of Arsenal, Spurs, and Everton. They can't compete with them. Liverpool have to sell to buy, and this is why I'm actually quite worried for them because unless they sell their players, they're not going to be buying any. They're not going to be making any big purchases in the next couple, 2, 3 windows, and I think the fact that you're adopting that model, that self-sustained model that they're doing, it's not gonna get you long-term success. No one's ever done it. It doesn't work. You need to have investment. You need to have funds. You need to spend big. Obviously, there's bargains available, and they've worked it very well, but it's not sustainable. You can't do that. So I think Liverpool are in big, big trouble. Big, big trouble, and they need to either Jurgen Klopp needs to adapt or he's going to keep on sinking.
I think they'll be all right next season, in all honesty. I think they'll be all right. It's easy right now in a moment to say, Liverpool, this and that.
Do you think they'll win the
come back.
title?
Well, next season, I don't know. We have to see what they do in the summer. But
I don't think they will. The window of opportunity to sell one of the front three is probably nearly gone.
Who's going to buy any of their front three?
That's the issue. They're all 29.
Exactly. And in this COVID market as well, it's not too sure about
and then
that.
They don't have any other sellable assets, really. Trent, maybe at push, but
where's Trent going? Where's Trent going?
That's exactly. Yeah. So
they've not got any really sellable assets. Maybe Van Dijk, maybe,
but he's quite old now.
Van Dijk's 29. You know, he's not
exactly like they've not got anything really that they can sell. And
maybe Salah, but
even Salah, I don't think.
But I feel like every top European side has set wingers, to be honest.
And even if they don't, like I think people are saying Real Madrid, but Real Madrid have their eyes set on Mbappe.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they'd be paying 100+ million for Salah, who's 29.
Barca ain't buying anyone too soon.
No, Barca are broke.
I don't know, man. I think it's a bit premature to say they're finished completely, but obviously right now they're very poor and they need to obviously have a refresh in it. But they'll be back. Moving on to their opponents, Fulham, and they've been in good form. You know, their issue has been scoring goals, but obviously they scored. They have been unlucky because they had a goal against Tottenham ruled out. Which, come on, man,
that was crazy.
Yeah, but
terrible decision.
Hey, Scotty P's doing his thing, man. You know, a lot of people wrote him off at the start of the season. You know, people question his credentials, but you know, he's proven a lot of people wrong. He's doing his thing, man. He's got some good players as well. Well, not good players, but decent players. Uh, and they play some good football as well. Will they survive is another thing, because obviously in these relegation battles you're not going to pick up a lot of points like that. You got to take them as they come in it. But whatever happens, he should hold his he should be proud of what he's done so far, because he has actually done a very good job. But yeah, Dan, what's your thoughts on Scott Parker and what are Fulham's chances of surviving?
At the start of the season, I disrespected Scott Parker a lot. I think I called him a Just Vibes manager. I said they're definitely getting relegated, they're going down, but they've weathered the storm quite well, and he's adapted very well, which is something that is very impressive. And like, Fulham actually have quite a couple decent players. Like, again, they outplayed Liverpool. They thoroughly deserve to beat them. They missed quite a few very good openings especially in the first half. So I've been impressed by Fulham. Like, I think they've lost 2 in their last 10, which is very, very good. But they're level on points right now with Brighton, who can't seem to take their chances and who threw away a 1-0 win against Leicester and came away with nothing. So they, in all likelihood, I see, and Newcastle are, I think, 1 point above them, and Newcastle are not in the best shape with Steve Bruce. So I think Fulham probably will stay up, based on the fact that they actually play good football and they actually are starting to get results and pick up form. So yeah, I've been impressed with Fulham.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. Denzel?
I can't lie. When they first came into the league, I wrote them off as well. I didn't think they were gonna do anything too crazy, to be honest. I even thought them getting into the Prem. Maybe they kind of snuck their way in with the whole playoff thing. It was arguable that Brentford maybe should have been there instead of Fulham, but they're here now and they're doing decent. I'm looking at their last couple of results. So you've got a 0-0 draw at West Ham. You've got the win at Everton, draw at Burnley, win at Sheffield, draw at Palace, loss at Spurs, and a win at win at Liverpool. It's decent form. I think they'll just about avoid relegation. I feel like Newcastle will probably go down. I feel, because we're seeing Fulham improve and we're seeing Newcastle decline. So I feel they'll probably just about survive in the league.
Yeah, so Sarah, what are your thoughts on Fulham?
Yeah, I think, just put it bluntly, I think them playing amazing, not amazing, but them playing good football is just a bonus. I feel like defensively, very astute. Like, Anderson, at the beginning of the season, he was rubbish. And now look at him. He's leading that defense. He's the captain. He's showing everyone what he's about. Adebayo as well, big improvement from him. I know Ore's upset that he's going to pick England. The fullbacks, he's got good rotation options there with Robinson, Tete, Anya, etc. And like I said before, he knows during a game when to drop off and go into that 5 at the back, and then when to go into a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1. There's quite a few players there who I'd take as backups or even as starters at West Ham. I think we need Harrison Reed is very tidy defensive midfielder, and Geese is a great ball carrier. Lamino, who scored the goal yesterday. And Scott Parker knows, like, he's not going to be pulling miracles out of hats. Like, he knows what he has to do to get a result at any ground. The result against Tottenham was very, very unfortunate, and I just don't see why that can't be overturned after a game. They've only lost, I think they haven't lost in 7 away games, and they've only lost 1 of the last 10 or something. And judging by Newcastle's injury woes and the reliance on a few players for inspiration, i.e. Sir Maximan and Callum Wilson, I think they'll go down. I think Brighton will have just about enough, and I think Fulham will get out of it. But if we're talking about relegation, who it's going to affect more, it's going to affect Newcastle a lot more, again, as we've seen. That size of club and the way that their trajectory has been going, it's not good for Steve Bruce's side. But yeah, let's see what happens with Fulham in these next few games. They've got a tough run of fixtures, I think. They've got City, they've got one of the other top 6 sides as well. So let's see what happens.
I think we were gonna talk about Southampton. Southampton, obviously now because they won in it, so they've obviously kind of addressed their issues. But still, though, obviously we all rated Ralph here quite highly on what he was doing. But as I was telling Dan, man got slapped 9-0 twice. I don't know if I can respect you. No. Obviously, you can't discredit what he's done in it over the time he's been at Southampton, but 2-9-0s. But like, I just want to gather like your guys' thoughts on Southampton's kind of progress under Hasenhüttl and where you can see them going next. Sarah.
I think the big thing here is that like he hasn't been backed, and the club are looking to sell as well. And if we look at it, they're really only a 2-man or 1-man team, to be honest. Like even people say Ward-Prowse is this amazing player. He's not really. When Ings isn't scoring, there's no party. And I feel like in hindsight, over these past probably 9 months, even probably last season as well, they're probably where they should be in terms of caliber of squad, talent. And I actually think Hasenhüttl was overperformed in the first half of the season. And also the fact that the style of play is unsustainable, extremely unsustainable. It's the style of play that Klopp first did when he came in his first 2 years. High pressing in threes, winning the ball back and counter pressing really well. Brilliant to watch, and scores. They were scoring goals at will, to be honest. Like they could score and sort of take the other teams down rabbit holes and win the ball back really high up the pitch. Romeu and Ward-Prowse were providing a decent back, and Vestergaard's improvement was noticeable. But I feel like they've been put back down into some sort of reality, and a mid-table finish is probably where they should be. They're not any worse than any of the sides below them, but they're certainly not better than what they are. I think they need to sort out the owner's situation, because that's literally going to define where they go forward.
Denzel?
I think obviously it's evident that they've declined since the start of the season, because there was a point even when they're on top of the league, I believe. So the decline is expected. It's to be expected. Like Sarah was saying, they're a mid-table side at best. I don't think people should expect too much from them. They play decent football, but I don't know with them. I'm not really as amazed as everyone else is when it comes to Southampton. Like the 2-9 goals conceded, that's abysmal. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of a league where a team has conceded 9 goals in 2 separate games. So I see past. I don't really rate them too highly. When they're on their game, they're on their game. But I don't see anything super, super special about them. They're just a mid-table team to me, personally. But yeah.
I hear that. What about you, Dan?
Their recent form has been really, really poor. 2 wins in their last 15, and one of them coming against Sheffield. So, I mean, it's expected. 9-0 twice within the space of a year. Southampton are a very weird team. Like they're a team that blows hot and cold. They're either on red hot form or they're freezing cold. And I don't know how that really fares for them going forward in the future. Because obviously, I don't know what Southampton's ambitions is, because they're not going to be winning the title anytime soon. They're probably not even going to be in the top 6 anytime soon. So I think a mid-table finish for them is okay. But Ralph he's a very high-risk, high-reward manager, where he plays a very kind of gung-ho style of football, where he's high line, high energy, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like as we even seen at the start of the season, they got destroyed by Spurs, got destroyed by Man United. They've been beat by a lot of teams, but they've also got some very good results at the same time. So we'll have to see how he fares in the long term. But I think they, as with everyone, they just need to find a level of consistency where they can kind of mitigate getting smashed, because I think that's embarrassing if we're being honest. To get beaten 9-0 twice is not good enough.
Under the
really.
same manager as well.
Exactly. Like,
Mm.
and there's Sheffield have won like I think 3 or 4 games this year, and they've not been smashed 9-0. I don't even think they've been smashed 5 or 6-0.
I don't even know three, because I can't.
They only lose by one goal
Exactly.
margins.
Yeah.
They only lose by one goal margin.
And
So,
they're a very poor team. So I think that's definitely something to criticize Ralph on. And I think people were getting a bit too excited. Like, I saw certain United fans saying they wanted him to take over at Old Trafford.
No,
I think that was a
no,
bit
no.
exactly. That was very, very premature. But I mean, we'll have to see how he does. I think Southampton's a good team for him to have, but them results are very embarrassing.
Mm. Moving
no,
on.
Josh, just to answer your question quickly.
Yeah.
They have actually declined. In this current ownership, they have declined. They were finishing 6th, 7th, and 9th before Hasenhüttl came in. And I think this shows that I think Hasenhüttl could go to a better team, a slightly better team. I reckon he could.
Is he better than
Maybe
Graham Potter? I don't think so. Is he better than Scott Parker?
Yeah, I'd say he's better than Scott Parker.
I don't know. Scott Parker's working with probably a worse team.
He's better than Scott Parker.
he could go to a better side.
Yeah, he could,
But-
but I think there's definitely better managers than him.
Yeah, he's done all right so far.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him. No, he's done well, but those two results are shocking. But Spurs, and in particular, Gareth Bale. Now, I was one of those people saying that he was finished, that he's not going to do anything for Spurs. But obviously, let's not be premature and too reactionary. You know, he's had a couple good games in it, but he's showing something. And there's one of those ones here where if he keeps up this form, what does it mean for Tottenham's top 4 hopes? Like, do you guys see them getting top 4? Because me personally, I can see Leicester and Chelsea like being in the, like, obviously United and Man City, and then Chelsea and Leicester maybe. But if Bale's on a hot streak, and obviously you know about Kane, and Son's kind of gone off the boil in terms of goal scoring wise, but if those 3 click, adding Dele Alli and Dombele, what are we saying, Dan?
I mean, North London derby next week, so we know what's happening. Bale and Kane will score, and Spurs will probably win 3-0. But in terms of like their future, I think people are getting too. The idea of Gareth Bale being back is just being romanticized. Like, let's be honest, he scored against Burnley and Palace. Like, he's not that guy anymore. And I understand that Spurs fans are going to get excited, and probably rightfully so, because they're picking up form in the time where you want them to pick up form. So they definitely do have a chance of top 4. Whether they'll get it or not, I don't know. I don't personally think so. But for me, the thing they should be looking at more is Europa League, because top 4, even if Spurs get top 4, ultimately it means nothing, really, because they've had top 4 for the last how many years, and it's amounted in nothing. So Spurs need the Europa League is more important, in my opinion, to Spurs than top 4. And if Gareth Bale can bring that Europa League with Kane and Son, then that'll be a good season for Spurs, and they will have done well. But that's what I think they should aim for, and that's what I think they probably will end up winning.
Denzel.
I'm gonna start with Gareth Bale. I think people need to calm down. Like, people need to stop talking for Bale. He's had 2 good games. He's had 11 appearances and 2 good games in a Spurs shirt. Everyone's saying Gareth Bale's back. Like, come on, what is that? He's not back. He's had 2 decent games. Cool. Gareth Bale is not back. We need to put that to rest. With Tottenham, I think top 4 is possible. They definitely have the squad to get into the top 4. Obviously, the way they play is a bit boring. Warfest football, stink up the pitch, as Dan says, for 90 minutes. But they have the squad to get into the top 4. And obviously, it's Mourinho. He has pedigree. He knows how to get into the top 4. I don't really... I don't know. I really see you too. That's all I have to say about them, firstly, because that's it. There's not really too much to say about them.
Sarah?
I'll start off with Gareth Bale as well. Look, if we're being honest, like he's had a couple good games. He's probably going to get injured again in probably 2.5 days or something ridiculous like that. And Daniel Levy won't renew his deal, and he won't be staying at Tottenham because it's just not going to happen. He's done way too much. But maybe towards the end of this season, that's where it's going to count. So the way I look at it is Leicester's drop off and maybe Chelsea's rise, like, is that going to sort of like counteract each other? So if Leicester drop off, will that potentially open up another space? And will Liverpool continue to drop? Because that fourth spot is wide open. I think Chelsea will probably get in. I still think Liverpool will pick up results. So it's going to be very tight, and I think Tottenham will miss out.
People are sleeping on Everton. Everton with Don Carlo.
Yeah.
Everton,
is a problem.
no.
Don Carlo is a man who knows what he's doing. He's a serial winner.
Yeah.
Even though they have losers in he's turned Sigurdsson and Richarlison into a good strike partnership. This guy can do anything.
But I feel like
And they have 2 games in hand.
And their squad's feeling it now as well, because they literally have no options. They have nobody. So they'll get Europa League. Mourinho will probably have to slightly change the way he plays. Not in terms of like,
He's never going to do that.
No, but like he knows that he can't continue to drop points, because if he needs to establish himself as an actual top 4 contender now, because he's sort of, everyone's sort of just disregarded them now as what.
To be fair, they're 2 points off.
Yeah, and they have a game in hand on Leicester, obviously United.
Yeah.
They're not far. They can definitely make top 4, but it doesn't mean anything to make top 4 for Spurs.
Because they always do rubbish.
It doesn't mean anything to make top 4. A Carabao Cup or a Europa League means more to Spurs than top 4.
I do hear that. Obviously we're running out of time. Let's do a quick roundups of Europe. Dortmund, Bayern. Dortmund 2-0 up, and they gave it away, man. It's so inevitable with them, like. But when you kind of understand the club they are, in terms of they buy youngsters, which they end up to sell.
Yeah, feed the club.
Yeah, they're not really there to be anything. Club, they're just there to, just what's it? They're just a development club, development center.
They're a business.
Yeah, pretty much, and then they did it. But anything to say about that, or standard?
It's just,
if Bayern had lost, Leipzig would have been top. I would have been very happy.
Leipzig
are only 2 points off. So
Leipzig don't have a goal scorer, but they have goals around the whole team. So that's what.
Yeah.
So they're not relying.
They're
on
the only
person.
one that might be. They're the only one that might be a threat to Bayern in the future, because they don't have the 51% rule. Like, they can actually spend money, and they can threaten Bayern.
Yeah, that's one thing people don't deep about.
With the dynamic with.
Yeah.
With the dynamic with Dortmund and Bayern, I don't like it at all. It annoys me. Like, Borussia Dortmund essentially lay down for Bayern Munich every year, and it gets on my nerves. Like, even I was seeing talk about Hansi Flick. He was saying, we're not ruling out us signing Haaland. I'm like, you're going to allow another big player from Dortmund to go to Bayern Munich? Like, it's boring now. Do Borussia Dortmund not get tired of being Bayern's feeder club? Like, you're trying to compete against them. You're trying to stop this run of Bundesligas that they have, and every year you're just selling your best players to them. It's just ridiculous to me. I don't understand it. Like, how can you be a club with no ambition?
No, one thing we got to do, we're looking at it from an English mentality where everybody's got a piece to spend. Like, you see Leicester and United, you want our player, pay EMs. Clubs in Germany don't have the TV revenue money like that, so they have to kind of sell in order to sustain. So the reality is that they are selling to survive, really.
But is that all your football club is? Like, come on. There has to be a point where you need some ambition in your club. Like, every year you're selling your biggest stars to the same team over and over again, and then coming to your yard and peppering you with the old players that used to play for your club. It's ridiculous. Like, come on.
I mean, it's easy for us to look at, but
it is
I think it's
ridiculous.
different.
But for Leipzig, that's how they get all their players. They use Salzburg as their main source of recruitment, and that's how they get to the positions where they are. That's how they got their meteoric rise from being only 11 years old.
It's the whole Red Bull thing, isn't it? They got they got in Brazil. They're everywhere, man. They're about.
They got in New York as well.
Yeah, so
that's just the state of the Bundesliga. That's just how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And it will always be like that, I think.
50+1 rule. So 51% of the club is owned by members. So the reality is, it's not like England where you're going to overrule and be ruled by one person. Obviously, there are exceptions like Leipzig and Leverkusen, I think Wolfsburg.
But there isn't a traditional top 6 powerhouse, is there?
Exactly.
Obviously, Bayern are the only real powerhouse.
Big club.
Yeah. Werder Bremen were there before, Wolfsburg were there before, but
Schalke were there, and now they're getting relegated.
We should probably touch on Schalke actually as well a little bit.
Yeah,
they could potentially be the worst European club in history.
Well, I think we might talk about them next week, innit? Because we don't have that much. Obviously, Atletico and Real Madrid, their lead is shrinking, but they still have a game in hand. And I was saying, you see, when you have like 3-4 games in hand, I don't think it's always a benefit because it's like
it's almost it stacks up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't know. It's not always a benefit. We saw with Aston Villa, they had like 4 games in hand. Didn't mean nothing. So we don't know. This year is unpredictable, innit? We don't know. You couldn't have predicted Liverpool would be this bad. I don't know, man. Anybody watch the game? I watched the first 45 minutes. Suarez's goal?
Beautiful.
Beautiful goal, man. Beautiful goal. And Llorente, we need to give Simeone's credit for Llorente, what he did with Llorente. Man was just a normal DM, standard DM. Now he made him into an all-action midfielder. Hey, Simeone did his thing, but let's see what they do, because let's see if they win their game in hand. If they don't, then they could be in big trouble. So who's our stars and our wellers of the week? You guys just throw them at me.
Luke Shaw.
Anderson.
That's the week. What, Felipe Anderson?
No, Fulham defender. I don't know what his first name is.
I was about to say.
The referees in the Arsenal Burnley game.
Oh yeah, that was abysmal.
And referees in general. I don't know about Star. I don't think anyone was, obviously, like Luke Shaw has been said, but I don't know about anyone else. I don't think anyone really had a fantastic. Maybe Kane. Kane's been very good recently.
They broke the duo assist and goals thing, didn't they? Him and Son.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, I'm gonna say is Money Mace.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Great performance against Liverpool.
Give him his props in it. But
deservedly so.
Yeah, man. I think that's it for this week, man. That's it for this week. Hope you, man, enjoyed the episode, man. There's a lot more coming, but you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends, you know. Spread the word out. Spread the word out, people. The word of mouth is very powerful. You know them ones. So you know what to do, man. But yeah, man, it's been a blessing to be here. Make sure, as we said, like, comment, subscribe. Keep saying that. And yeah, man, we'll catch you next week, man. Stay blessed.